and it was these, on Broadway in Camden, that Dunkin' Donuts on Broadway near the Transportation Center, and they have Hindustani in there, right? They're pretty much running it, and one Hindustani is working the cash register, the other one's like gets the donuts and stuff like that, and the other one makes the coffee, and the other one takes orders. I mean, you know how the network works.
Right.
But anyway, so the sister that was leaning down getting some bags or something says, she says, "Oh, the spray." And I couldn't exactly because her accent was so strong. The spray, the spray, and then the one was on the cash register said, the smell is good. That's Cindy. So then I understood that she was talking about my oil. Now I was wearing Majmoor, which is one of my favorite oils. It's an expensive oil. It comes from Cindy, from India.
Okay.
Right, it costs like double whatever the other oils cost. But they recognized it, right? And then she pointed to my flash. Oh, Morian. See now, and they was just so happy and treat me like family all of a sudden. Of course, everybody's in line. They wonder why they're giving me all this attention, right? So they relate. But it was a signal, like you could tell that they assume that I'm not dumb, number one, or that I have some knowledge of culture, if you understand.
Yeah.
And there's a relationship because they know that when they seen that I'm aware of the Mauryan dynasty, the Nanda Gupta dynasty, which is also part of Sindh, what is now called India. You see, but they think that most of the people they deal with that come in there are under the black tag. So they don't expect any culture whatsoever. Give them the coffee, get them out of here, type thing.
More or less.
Yeah, like for real. But our people don't know their rejection is the dead culture. They lack culture. They think black is a culture. Black is death.
Yeah,
that's
the
signal.
Stock market.
In culture, among civilized people, a black person is an outcast, voluntarily. Not just that they're being mistreated by Europeans. When they open their mouth and say they're black, Christian black codes are automatic. That they're telling the rest of the world, I am one who is in dishonor. And just because they can't read, it doesn't mean that that's not what it is, because it is exactly what it is. No different than a Manchurian or other civilized person from North Asia comes around the civilized people and talking about, I'm a light-skinned yellow guy. He loses his birthright too. And for some, whatever the reasons may be, and there may be multiple, these people here of Moabite Moorish descent in North America insist on claiming to be black, which they are not, and the rest of the world rejects them. And then they're mad at the rest of the world when actually they're dishonoring their mothers and fathers, because the rest of the civilized world know that these people are Moors.
So what would happen, theoretically, if we were to embrace...
If you be yourself, not embrace. How about being yourself? That's a better way to say it.
All right, so
stop faking.
I didn't want to say embrace. I wanted to use the word release the title of black.
It would be called rendering unto Caesar what is Caesar's. That's what it would be called.
Say it one more time.
Rendering unto Caesar what is Caesar's. The Asiatic Africans in North America are considered by the rest of the Asiatic African world as traitors and sellouts. They don't see themselves that way because they forgot their history. If they knew their history, they would know why they're being rejected. They think they're being rejected because of the complexion of their skin. Because that's the feed line. That's not what the problem is. They're disgraced and thus rejected. And they insist on holding on to dead culture and trying to impose it on the rest of the civilized world. And then they get rejected again.
So, like, say for this station, our tagline is that we're black talk radio, we're black on radio station.
What you're telling the rest of the world, that we're chattel property, compromised. If you would talk to other nationals and not get so upset and talk as we're talking right now, I guarantee if I had another national here from Hindustan or somewhere, they'd back up everything I say if they didn't think they were going to get punched in the face. if they thought you were reasonable enough to accept an honest conversation, they'll back up exactly what I'm saying. And thinking that you still go right back to them black codes and then complain about the black codes that you keep volunteering to be part of. And trying to justify when you know in your heart that you ain't black. But you want to talk about Jesus and God and Allah, special relationships in ancient Africa, and the rest of the Asian African world look at us the same way, that we're traitors. So they'll come in the community, they're already instructed when they come in the communities. Get a thick piece of plexiglass, if you're going to last 3 years, they'll make you wealthy. And then sell it to another national, and the cycle continues. And it's not that our people don't see it, but they don't pay attention to details. You know how they can put doo-doo in somebody's face and they start discussing, having meetings, whether or not it's peanut butter? That's what so-called black people do. The rest of the civilized world deals with things for what they actually are. Not that they don't have problems too. Do you understand? But you'll never see an honorable Asiatic running around the world talking about they light-skinned yellow guys with a light-skinned yellow organization. They know that human beings are not crayons. Only people think that way is Christian property. That's how they can tell their property from civilized beings.
It's like now white people. Well, white people aren't just that, but they don't even go with the different color.
They play that game with us. They're not white people. They're Europeans. They play that game with their property in order to perpetrate that paradigm. Because if they start talking nationalities, then these people will start knowing what they're looking at when they walk on this parkway right up here. That they keep walking through, don't even know what their national vixellum is. But they're going to tell you about Jesus, God, and Allah. Do you understand how hypocritical we look to the rest of the world? I don't think you do really do. Most of our people aren't objective enough because we're full of biases that we accuse other people of, even against each other. And then we deny it, which is another thing that keeps us asleep. And so, an honest conversation, as we're having tonight, most nationals will never have that conversation with us. They'll talk about blunts, 40 ounces, what you smoke, partying, drop your ass to the ground type thing, and who'd you shoot this week, because that's called black talk. And they're proud of it too. Like it's a culture. It's really dead culture. But they keep justifying it and then getting insulted because the rest of the civilized world keep rejecting them. Except when they want to do business. They come in, extract, and go live next door to other civilized people. Then they want to get insulted all the time. Oh, they don't want to be around black people. Just like people like to visit the zoo. Nobody wants to live there. And that's really how the so-called black community is viewed.
That's why gentrification is needed.
Exactly. Because they know damn well they're going to tear stuff up. They're going to be standing on the corners in front of the stores with their asses out, smoking joint, destroying the businesses, and as soon as someone fixes something up, they're going to write on it and then get mad because nobody wants them around.
So therefore taking properties from them, moving them outward, gentrifying the neighborhoods.
It's
so
exactly. Gentrification is just simply another form of genocide. It's economic genocide. It's one step away from the other part. And the other biological warfare is chemtrails and laced viruses, laced tobacco, which they will concentrate in their community, mercury and barium and other metals given to their children when they go to the John D. Rockefeller and Frederick T. Gate organizations that were set up in 1902 called the General Education Board. Little by little, killing them off.
My question is, we profess now that it would be such a great idea for the world to be, for our world, America, to be mixed color, like no more black, no more white, where like we talked about earlier, where black men.
Now, see what you're saying, and I'm not rejecting what you're saying, but I'm going to talk from a scholar position. Okay. The paradigm that you're talking from is called social engineering, unum sanctum social engineering. That is a totally engineered base language for managing enforced peonage veiled under the connotated word slavery in North America, social controls. that stuff does not exist in the rest of the civilized world. There's no such thing as black people and white people.
Oh, not
Those
I'm
are
sorry.
no, but I'm just saying when you're speaking, see, this is the point that, and I'm not rejecting what you're saying because I know what you're, but I'm talking to you as if you're privy council. I'm talking to you as if you're a scholar. I'm talking to you as if you're a national. I'm talking to you like if I was talking to maybe a member of the Ku Klux Klan or a European or an educated person. Now, when I talk to you black, I'll talk what is called connotative language. It fixes nothing. It brings remedy to nothing. It only destroys. But they're looking for some good out of it, which cannot happen and will not happen. You know, it's blind hope, blind thinking, and the other point is it doesn't have to be, but they refuse to give it up. And so the consequence, like anyone, if you insist on going to the party, you know, all the time, and you're the only one farts and picks boogies, and then everybody wants, you know, keeps moving to the other side of the table, and you ain't caught on yet that you're being rejected, they don't owe you an explanation after a while. You know what I mean? And so our people, because they have come to convince themselves that black is a nation in Africa somewhere, which is not. And that is part of the bloodline of the human family of Asia and Africa, which it is not. And then they keep imposing it on the civilized world, and then gets rejected, then they get angrier. Then they want to march and pray all over the place, taking up space.
So what about the term Afro-American?
It's Afro-American. How many continents? Now we know, scholars know that North America is Northwest Africa. Central America is Central Africa, ancient Central Africa. South America is Southwest Africa. Africa, that's referred to Africa today, is South Asia. All scholars know that. They know that the people here have been colonized under unum sanctum policy, Spanish Inquisition against the Moors and Yahudi. And these people here have forgotten themselves. Matter of fact, some of them think North America's India. They don't even know basic third grade geography. So don't talk facts to them. They'll start telling you about beliefs. I believe that 2 and 2 is spiritually, metaphysically 3.5. That's what they keep on putting in the rest of the world. And then wonder why the rest of the world don't like black people. Because they're frauds. Problem is that we don't see ourselves that way. And the other problem is, as blunt as I am to you, other nationals are blunt with each other. And in front of us, they'll go with the game because they know that we're sensitive. They don't know what we're going to call ourselves this week. We'll smile at you one minute, want to shoot you the next minute. They don't know how to deal with us. But they do know that we'll make them wealthy.
One of the things that millennials try to tackle, millennials now that's a generational conversation, of course, that might be a structure too. We talk about racism and how racism will go away eventually, years from now. Like they talk about on the news, blacks and whites in a few years will not be that. Everyone on this continent will be like a lighter brown because
now it is a blending. Well, that is a fact. It is a fact. Now. That's but that's really not the point. Right. It is let's set some things on the table so that you'll understand where I'm coming from. The conversation that I'm having with you is I'm making distinction between denotation and connotation consciously, and trusting that you're doing the same. And if you don't, the conversation will never make sense. Likewise, it is known by scholars that when you talk to most persons who are called black, that they're not aware of social engineering. They don't even know that race is the human species. They don't even know what the word really means. They know what was told to them, and that's what they ride on. And that's in a social engineering venue. However, a scholar, politician, a mason, skull and bones, anybody to any degrees already know that person's sick. That person don't know where they are. And so those who feed on them will not correct them and will talk within that venue when they're with them. Outside of them, their language changes. And sometimes, once in a while, one of the dead will walk amongst people who are talking international, and the conversation will change. Because it's already instructed to do so, because they are an economic base. They're the food, and don't know that they're the food. So how do you tell the food, you get along with the food, tell them it's racism, and they'll pick it up like little parrots. Oh, human beings are crayons, and it doesn't see that word over there on the wall. See, it's red, like little boys and girls. And then there's the black U. See, there's the red W. And spiritually, that means the blood of Africa. And then there's the black, and that means the blackness of the skin. And then there's the green arm, and what that means, the tree of life. And then there's the gold, and that means the yellow of the sun. And spiritually, that's blackness of black talk radio, deepness of spirituality. And everybody goes, yo, man, that's deep. The rest of the world know these people is out of damn lunch. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
For me, and this is on my journey of understanding, for the most part, I'm processing, like, how can I put this? I also use words on connotation in, when they're used. Albeit I know that I need to probably read a little bit more than I do. But
what they will say about us, this is what the Europeans say about us.
Yeah.
And often, you know, and it's traditionally, and our people get insulted, but it actually has root in truth. Particularly when making reference to our children. Don't worry about those little pickaninnies. They will never compete because they can't read. And their lazy parents won't. They only deal with beliefs, and we control their beliefs. And they won't say that complete sentence in front of us. They say that with and other people say it too. They'll just say, niggers don't read. You want to hide something from monkeys? Put it in a book. You know, and it's common amongst nationals, even other nationals. They just won't say it in front of us because we, get violent right quickly. We're very sensitive. And everybody knows that. But meanwhile, remember, these people that keep claiming to be so spiritual, that know Jesus, God, Allah, Yahweh, Muhammad, Hotep, ancient Africa, the Great Pyramids, and the carbon of the melanin in the sky of the universe, and the 13th planet, and the Nibiru. They don't even know their damn bloodline. Do you know how insulting that is to the civilized world?
That's rather backwards. That's rather...
And then you sit up and discuss with them, and they want to talk about culture when they don't have a damn culture. They live a dead culture. It's evident everywhere you see them at.
Oxymoronic is one word.
It's evident. The only thing beautiful is usually the churches and the mosques that they pay for in debt, in mortgage debt to European construction companies for 4 or 5 lifespans of their families. And then lie and say it's for Jesus when they're really worshiping Constantine. And the rest of the world knows that they're worshiping Constantine, pretending to love Jesus when they know that Jesus is the password. The one they call Jesus' name is Yahushua. The rest of the world knows that. There's nothing wrong with Jesus. It's just his password, that's all. And there was this, I'm talking, because I'm a national, I talk to other nationals, because I write. I'll have conversation with nationals around the world. They're not inhibited to talk to me because I'm not a liar, meaning that I'm not taking some liberty. When nationals understand nationals all over the world, persons who are called black are telling the world we're outside the human family. So therefore, certain conversations are not had with them. I'm talking to you because we're a family. And because my work is to try to help my own people. But what I don't do is sit around and cater to false paradigms just because they're my people. So I'll talk to our people the way others, nationals, talk to me because they already know that I'm a scholar. And I'm not going to sit up and deal with calling human beings crayons because I know that human beings are not crayons. Human beings have nationalities. And they're represented on a parkway in every major city in the world. And these are the only people that sit around and talk about they know God and Jesus and everything and don't even know their national standard. But they're always arguing that they don't have rights, that they themselves keep abandoning. And then call the Europeans white man, which means sovereign. And then get angry because he acts like the sovereign. And you can show them in a law book that it's a legal status, and they'll turn around and tell you that it's skin color. And argue with you.
I can tell that's frustrating for you.
You know,
saying that in general.
So other, people who would take advantage of them not going to sit around and argue the semantics.
Right.
Just simply set up shop because they're already told. They're 2 steps above animals. Give them some drugs, watermelon, and they're happy. And say Jesus, and they'll give you their lunch money. And that's generally, in this, not exactly like that, but in general, that's how people view black people. Now, of course, our people feel it, and they know in their heart and mind that these people are really looking down at them.
Right.
And they'll say, they diss them. Well, they're not, it's that and it isn't that at the same time. The idea that most of our people have of what that rejection is, they're trained like little monkeys to call it racism. Race is the human species. The human species is divided into extended families of the human family called nations and nationalities. A child can understand that. For some reason, these people that got the mentalities of boys and girls, they still don't get it. But they're going to tell you about Jesus, God, and Allah. So the civilized world don't have too much patience with that folk. However, they do know, and they're already instructed, if they come into those zoo communities, which will be zoned, they can get wealthy within 3 years. But they will never make themselves wealthy. They do not understand economics. They do not understand true philosophy. They cannot read. They only deal with belief systems. They're arrogant as hell. They're self-righteous as hell. They think that Allah and Jesus made them, didn't make anyone else. And they will act accordingly, seize advantage of it. And that's basically the instruction.
So the idea, so now that brings up, now that's 2 questions for me. And we believe naturally.
I'm telling you things that if you were doing a study of our people objectively as a reporter, without interjecting your emotions in it, what I just told you, you would see it clear as day.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, most of our people will experience it and can't see it. And if you point it out, they will reject that that's what it is. And it's exactly what it is. It's almost like, what people are like someone getting their ass kicked, and since they didn't see the boot, they want to have a meeting discussion whether or not they got their ass kicked.
Denial, more or less.
It's just like they deny their bloodline. It's not a secret. Oh, pull up the post letter like I said to you.
It's labeled "The Promise Revealed."
No, put it this way. Civil orders, Pope Francis to Barack H. Obama. Civil orders. I want to show you how some history is not even necessarily hidden.
Yeah. So it comes up, Pope Francis sends Obama a powerful letter via attorney on July 4th.
Save it and read it in your spare time, break it down. And I would say this to you ahead of time. As a matter of fact, you might even decide to do a show on it. Look at the different spellings of United States in there, make a note on them, and then test yourself to see if you recognize what you have been told in that letter. Not only that, I want you to scroll all the way down to the bottom. Scroll down to the bottom. Yeah. Now scroll all the way down to the bottom. Slow down. Read that. Read the blue. Read it out loud. Remember, think the show. Take that the show is still on.
Yeah. The United States isn't a country, it's a corporation. Proof Vatican owns corporate United States, hidden Vatican crown empire.
Now, is that hidden?
No.
Is that available for anybody to read?
Yes.
How many of these people who claim to be black keep calling the United States a country because they don't even know basic geography, but they're going to tell you about ancient African history? Do you understand how they can put stuff right in these people's face knowing that they're going to still deal with their beliefs because they're that controlled? But they're going to tell you about Jesus, God, and Allah, salvation, and what they're going to fix in their community. They don't even know what community is. They're too damn arrogant to be told.
What opened up my eyes is like David told Sabir, like coming on the show, listening to different people that have come together. I know how to put two and two together. I know how to say, well, if you make a sculpture, some kind of a puzzle, and you say there's a piece missing,
Exactly.
you know, and the idea, and it dawned on me as a joke. I wasn't told this per se, but the idea came to me as a joke that Trump is the owner of these corporations, right? And America runs like a business. It runs slowly,
Now, slow back. I'm showing you the connotative linguistics. Now, notice the phrase that you said, and it's accepted, and wouldn't be challenged, would it? A scholar outside of here, if it was anything serious, they wouldn't challenge you. If it was a matter of a state or anything really serious, you'd have been challenged. Want me to show you how?
Sure. Yes.
All right. Say, for instance, if we're in a debate of something that deals with some financial transfer of some type, and I would say, everyone, you've heard Eric's statement, and he's made his statement. I beg to differ, and I state that he's unqualified to receive the estate. How can you say that? Because he's one of the black communities guys, and he's doing a radio show and everything. Eric clearly doesn't know the difference between countries, territories, continents. Because he just stated America is a country. America's the largest continent on Earth planet. It spans from the northern hemisphere to the central hemisphere to the southern hemisphere. North, Central, South America, Americanus, are the islands on both sides. He's clearly incompetent. And you would lose.
Because America fits into Africa 20 times over.
No, it's not whether it fits in there. America, you put the context in which you spoke is America as a country. That's part of connotative training, social engineering that we picked up, not knowing that we disinherit ourselves when we pick up them phrases, but they're usually accepted. But among scholars, it would be unacceptable. But it is acceptable in social engineering. Our people do not understand Privy Council principles. Our people think that the languages that are spoken in these communities is legitimate. It's designed for targeted people. It identifies them as incompetence. And it's not challenged because it's promoted. And so they think because it's accepted that their venue is real. And the outcome, they always damn lose and they can't figure it out. Then they start claiming to be spiritual. And then they got to pray and have a meeting and prayer vigils. This shit don't work. Because their premise is fraudulent. And they won't even accept. They won't take the time to damn read. America's a continent, not a country. And we don't get it yet. It's just an example of what is called connotative link. A scholar recognizes it immediately. It's like in social engineering, no different than me being a body man. I do body work. I mean, I don't do it now, but fix cars. So I could look at a paint job and I recognize orange peel. I recognize when a car has been painted again. I can recognize what is called curl, or something like that, where it's been repaired, even though it looks good to someone else. I can open up, look at bolts, and see movement, something like that. You know, so I pay attention to the subtle things, just like you would do doing film. Subtle things as someone who doesn't do it. I'm a house doctor, right? Lights go out. I already know how to backtrace it, you know, or do it, you know, troubleshoot it, and then fix it. You know, just like you would do on certain things like that, right? Our people in North America, particularly, one of the things that blocks us from fixing a lot of problems is what you just stated earlier, denial. And the other thing is arrogance. It's one thing for people to be ignorant and lacking information in certain areas, and in some areas, tolerably forgiven. But persons who are called black in North America are known by the civilized world to be not only ignorant, but arrogantly ignorant. You can't tell them. You start talking to them with facts, and they'll start arguing with you about what their beliefs are, and put it on the same table. Then when civilized people push it off, then they get rejected. They want to fight, they want to march, and they want to pray. Meanwhile, they say they got Jesus and nobody else does. Meanwhile, they say they know Allah, Yahweh, and all this stuff. Well, the rest of the world looking at you got all this going on, make your own sandwiches. Why y'all got all these nigger programs? I mean, that's how the rest of the world is actually looking at us. They know they won't say it blunt. They talk to each other on those levels. Bluntly, honestly, the conversation changes when in front of us because they also know we're dangerous and will hurt them. Do you understand? In other words, 1 minute they're smiling, they're coming out their jacket, throwing bottles, and with a 9, one of their favorite toys, you know, and want to roll somebody and whatever. Now, even though that's an exaggerated image, it does exist with other people about us. Even like you coming into communities, if they have a business, how far they will go in fixing it up, with the already being told that if you fix the front up too good, they're going to write on it. And you got to be kind of careful because they will stand on your step with their pants down, their asses out, smoking joint, disturbing your customers. So if you can last 3 years, you get wealthy, sell to another national, and that's a known transaction in all so-called black communities. And what many of our people don't know is the general conversation that goes amongst others that is not told to us to our faces. And I'm telling you, some of them.
So there's a proposed idea and believed to be fact. Now that's what was kind of coming into question earlier. Belief that, of course,
and that's the problem. As soon as that belief come in, when you come to these people, it's always what they get them to deal with facts is like Calvin Coolidge said with Joe Edgar Hoover. To give these niggers back Islam would be like putting a pair of pants on a horse. That was an actual statement made by President Calvin Coolidge. That's how sure they was that these people are so dead mentally.
I believe to that proposed idea that Africa is the motherland, of course, and that other nationalities have spread from there, changed due to the surroundings, like Asians' nose point down due to the conditions of breathing in Asia.
How about this?
All that kind of stuff.
Manchurians have been here on this land with us for thousands of years, not with these railroad things that the European tells you about. So most of the arguments, anthropological arguments that these people keep on making that they were told are frauds.
So the world has always been the nationalities and the way that different
nations and tribes. The civilized world on Earth planet called Gaia, the planet's name is Gaia, are what you would call tribes and nations, always has been. And the only ones in contemporary time that don't recognize that and who violate it horribly every day and get their asses kicked for it is called Negroes, black, colored, coon, shine, nigger, and whatever they want to call themselves this week, who are outside of the human family and keep getting pissed because they're treated accordingly as being what they agree to be outside the human family. The human family is not crayons. The rest of the civilized world honor their mothers and their fathers. These people here refuse to honor their mothers and their fathers, but they're going to tell you about Jesus, God, and Allah. Do you understand the contradiction that is?
Yes.
They can scientifically always analyze a whole bunch of things, and they only read an ordinary dictionary that tells them that they're Moors. A child's dictionary. It's in a dictionary. It's not even, doesn't even take deep scholarship. And they'll sit around, turn around, call themselves black, and then claim to be scholars. Well, the rest of the world ain't got time for that. So since they want to be stakes on the table of the elite, they're treated accordingly. And they call it racism. Racism, human species. They're out to damn lunch. No one's correcting because everybody's feeding on it. It's it's sort of like it's like if one of those trucks that go around collecting the fiat from banks and stores is running down the side street and one of the doors popped open and change and notes are flying out. It's not too many people will stop them and tell them to close the door. Most people will follow them and pick it up. And it's just like that's what they do to so-called people of Moorish descent that gave up their birthright to follow after the Europeans, doing business in European names, claiming to be Europeans, think human beings are crayons, give up their birthright, and everybody's like that trailing that truck, live off their virtues, and they ain't caught on yet. And so they know something's wrong, so they give them an argument. It's called racism and crayons. You know, light skin, dark skin, green people, and it doesn't matter whether you're plaid or orange, because really my light skin, orange skin, black girlfriend, but my real black aunt and my Negro uncle and my colored father, they know what these people will say. They're the only ones that don't get it. And if somebody comes and try to interject intelligent conversation, you never seen so much claim of religion in your life. I know Jesusness, and the Lord told me this, and I put my hand and named of the Lord, and I got my Jesus on the wall. And there's some European on the wall that they claim to be Jesus. They don't even know, the operations of the Nicene Council when they painted Michelangelo's cousin and start presenting these images of Europeans who colonized Africa and the Moors, etc. After the Spanish Inquisition got them worshiping Michelangelo's nephew, calling it Jesus. And they don't even know their bloodline. They're full of crap. They're full of it. And what makes it so bad is that they're arrogant with it. So it's kind of hard to feel sorry for them, because it's not like they're just absent of information. They're arrogant and self-righteous and judgmental of other humans. And the rest of them, and everybody living off them, they're dumbasses. They don't even know what money is. They don't know what geography is. They don't know what pedigree is. They don't know what nationality is. They think human beings are crayons. And they're mad because nobody won't start a new nigger program to uplift them. They're full of shit. Now that's how the world looks at us. However, then when they're in front of us, they'll say whatever we want to hear to do business. Oh, they usually don't stay in the community after dark though. Some of them do, and it's usually because their economics is not together to resolve that. But as soon as they are, they'll come back in for business. And our people feel it, and they take it. They don't like black people. It's not that, and it's not the way they think it is. It is that, but it isn't that. The concept of what they think it is wrong.
They don't like us. It's not that they don't like us, not because we say we're black.
Because they're not black. The black is a tag. They think it's an identity.
Right.
It is no different. In law, it's called civiliter mortuus. It is persons who have lost their civil rights and capacities in law. And so, not unlike you zone an area, the people are zoned. The zoned is Negro, black, and colored. You already know that they come under the Christian Black Codes, which was adopted in the state 1724 to govern all defeated Moors who are claimed as chattel property. They're on the stock market. 55 Wall Street.
So the 13th Amendment.
Yes, that's why it was removed. The original article of Amendment Nobility Clause is hidden 13th Amendment with 2 sections interjected because the original got 20 sections. And then the 14th Amendment that makes the monkey a citizen, and then gets what you call black pastors, most who are 32-degree Masons, to convince the people that color means African century, and when it actually means artificial person. You get them to be agreed to be people of color, then they can come on the Christian black codes. They don't have to be treated or be respected with human rights because they themselves agree to be outside the human family. Because international law protects people who are of nations all over the world. And they don't come under constitutional government because they're not part of it. They're property. But you got to convince them that they're somebody. They're full of shit.
That brings up the question also about the belief that Apple would.
There you go to belief again. You see, now I'm not knocking it. I want you to pay attention to your own language because it's part of training. But like I said, I'm talking to you as a scholar, and so I'm communicating with you and sharing with you some things that I commonly talk with other nationals. And one of the things that I discovered over the years, and it took me not long, but it took me a while to adjust to it myself. Other nationals relate to you like a family member when you're a national, and I had to get kind of used to that because I used to. Sometimes I thought they were being presumptive or placating. Do you know how sometimes you feel like somebody's being placated, accepting you, they're placating? Mm-hmm. And after a while find out it's not really that. Nationals recognize that, yes. Mm-hmm. They have respect for people who honor their mothers and fathers. They don't have respect for people who don't. But what you discover, that's universal. But that's universal. And our people being so closed-minded here in the North, they think the issue is unique to themselves, and it really isn't. As an example, and this is for real, we can be sitting here together, and someone take a picture, like you take this picture, and we were at URD, Sabir was here, we do what we do, and you take it amongst most of our people around here, or what we refer to as the hood, and they say, yeah, and there's 3 black brothers. That's how they would talk. You take it around the world, and if they don't recognize this is at North America, they would be looking at our bone structures basically and saying, oh, he's Tanzania, and he's Tunisian. They might, I think, they'll be talking nationality. Come here, they're talking, light-skinned, green-cut people.
Either black or you're African.
Yeah, and that is just here. And our people really don't, and if you talk to them like the rest of the civilized world talk, they get insulted, literally. And then immediately they start talking about how they feel and what their beliefs are. The rest of the world ain't got time to keep catering to our ignorance. And what we're confessing to the world that we're outside the human family. But they do know that the Negro, Black, and Colored codes set up by the Dutch masters, 1774, about 1779, it was pretty solidified at that time. And 1854 to 1863, Knights of Columbus Ku Klux Klan oath, which is celebrated with the Mummers Parade in Shakamoxon territory, which is called Philadelphia. Celebrating the fall of the Moors and making mockery right in front of their face. They don't even know it. And they're going to tell you about Jesus, God, Allah, Hotep, ancient Africa, and everything. And they're standing on Africa. They're out to lunch.
My question in regards to police officer training,
that was correct. They are commercial mercenaries.
But then the ideas that we've thought about is when people ask this question all the time, when African American, just using that term just for people understanding, African Americans take on that role, take on being a police officer, being like you had said,
they're already trained because they're overseers.
And they go back to their neighborhood that they were from, and they don't look at it the same.
Of course
That
they
are
don't.
trained, that they look at it differently and how they were trained due to that, or more to the truth of what it is, and then not be able not.
They know that these people are products, are chattels.
But when you were once there, like not you per se, but the officer was once there, but now they're an
Exactly, because being in the police department, they quickly learn that they're really commercial mercenaries. What people believe and what the real world is two different things, always has been. And then we will recognize those subtle changes and then call them something else. No, they're commercial mercenaries.
Yeah, I learned recently that police isn't meant for protection of.
No, it's not.
You can see it in law. Any law case, anything where you see our people go through all their marching and praying, you'll see, and it's been more than one time where the courts say, policeman's duty is to protect the corporation, not the people. They're commercial mercenaries for the United States Service Corporation and its subsidiaries.
What about the idea too that they're also slave collection? Too.
Well, you have the chasers, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, bounty hunters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slave collectors, yep.
You know, and it's not a secret. See, let me come at you again. What do scholars know about so-called police officers in North America under the United States Service Corporation company that has been posted as a country since 1861? The gangs of New York were European immigrant families who made contracts in groups with the United States Service Corporation company that they would do the work of destabilizing the Aboriginal and Indigenous people, etc., and acts as commercial mercenaries to enforce contracts on them.
Look up alien.
That group, called the Gangs of New York, became what is called the police departments and spread in contracts across Morocco, i.e. North America. They are commercial mercenaries.
I just gave him a law dictionary. I have to look up the definition of the word alien. You see it?
Yes.
Read it. You see what it says?
The highlighted or the whole thing?
Highlighted.
Highlighted. An alien is a person within the meaning of the due process clause of the 14th Amendment.
Was you ever told that?
No.
So who claims the 14th Amendment? Black folks, don't they?
It doesn't apply to other human beings.
Don't they always argue that issue? That the 14th Amendment made them citizens?
Yes.
So they're calling you an alien without you even looking up.
So if you're an alien, or do you have first
that's
level rights?
Yeah, that's
If
not
you
even,
agree to be that?
that's their book.
Say that again.
If you agree to be that, would you be listed amongst the human family having rights like other humans?
No.
Oh, thank you very much. Now, logically, if you, when I say you, we're talking plural. Now, consider how people look at us. Since we're the people more than anybody else, and this is really true, that always claim to know Jesus. As a matter of fact, always claim to have a personal relationship. Allah and Yahweh. Y'all know all this stuff and don't even know basic rules of the land. Does the world owe us that, since we're so arrogantly claiming all this spirituality that don't damn exist in our community? Only destruction, drugs, and jail?
After a while, no, you don't talk to someone who's arrogant.
And then, meanwhile, we want them to take us serious.
Stop talking to that person.
We want them to take us serious because we keep making these statements in the name of color, which means a fraud. Look up color.
Oh, I think I might have highlighted color in there too.
Yeah.
That's just my carry one. A brother just gave me a Black's Law 5th edition, special edition.
Oh, fifth ain't too good.
No. He gave me the 5th Deluxe. You see
It's
color?
not highlighted.
Oh, but you see-
COLOR.
Go ahead, read it.
Semblance, disguise. Color is often used to designate the hiding of a set of facts behind a sham, taking advantage of the context.
So what is it when these people keep on telling people we're people of color? What are you really saying to the people? Read it again. Now read the definition. That's what you're saying to the people.
Often used.
I am, and we are. Read it. Read it again. Read the definition again.
often used to designate the hiding of a set of facts behind a sham, taking advantage of the confidence, but technically proper legal theory or legal right.
Now let's back up.
Now, he
Why
got colored law.
they don't trust people of color? They carry watching us in the store. They following us around. We only go on trips. They don't be letting us go amongst the other people. We only go on trips and we go off the shore and everything. They dissing people of color. Can't damn read.
And that's law.
That's like
How
telling
many
people
I actually have to dissect that one a little bit.
No, but how many people we have? Let's be real. You've been here for a long time at Wurd, right? How many attorneys you had come up here to this station?
That I've been here.
Yeah, countless of them, right? I've been here with a lot of them.
A lot of them.
Never saw them pull out a law dictionary and showed you what we just showed you.
I've only known of Michael Kors, of course.
Mike never pulled out a law dictionary, did he?
No, he still doesn't.
I know he don't. Tarik Shabazz, Michael Kors. You had the shit. All of them was here.
They never pull up.
There's another lawyer that had a
Sabir
show
would
on
bust
Sunday.
them. As a matter of fact, they would duck him.
They would duck me and never
They
would
would
go
duck
after.
him.
I would have law
I'm
books
witness to it.
behind. He was witness to all of it. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I would have law books lined up back there and would spit.
And they would
They would
avoid.
listen to my show and they would ignore the show. Like they would like, but then they'll come right back on the radio and say, "Well, yo, you know, Black Lives Matter or something." You're lying. You see what I'm saying? Like, so they're not telling the truth.
They're
about what's going on.
compromised.
It's crazy,
Let's
man.
put it
And
blunt.
you picked it up. Look
They're
up the color of law
compromised.
right in that same book. It should be right there. The color of law.
Yeah, mere semblance of legal right.
So what kind of law they have for colored people?
Fake law.
What is this? Oh, and then they going to get mad, don't they? But they're going to tell you about Jesus.
Crazy, man.
Now you see when they say, don't worry about them,
Yeah.
they can't read, they won't read, but they're going to claim scholarship? Do you think the Western world going to sit around and keep catering to us while we keep on bullshitting the world, fronting, and then getting mad because we get rejected? Would you trust a Chinese who don't honor his own mothers and fathers? Why should you trust these Moors who don't honor their mothers and fathers? The Chinese going around talking about where's the light-skinned yellow groups marching orders.
I've never. The reason you can answer that question, I shook my head because I've never heard anybody say that.
Exactly. Doesn't common sense tell you that applies to us too?
That's crazy, man. Like,
Not should. It does and should, and we still don't get it.
Right, it does, and it should be adopted.
And
but
yet,
people don't.
this is what it is. Is that our people for the most part, because most nationals won't talk to us bluntly like we're having this conversation, they be thinking that they're impressing the rest of the world with black spirituality, and they're really looking at them like outcasts, like exactly what the hell they are. But they do know that they'll generate finance for them, and that's where the relationship begins and ends.
So like I was saying in here when you brought it up, that when Dave said he had me sitting here, the funny story is that. And here I was like, oh, special. Well, yeah, because Dave and I are cool, and he's like, he wanted to train me and everything like that, and I've learned a lot. The idea when I joked about it with Trump was saying that America's a corporation, and I joke and say that the United States is a corporation.
Read the last two paragraphs.
hold on, I want to hear
on
what he
that
said. Hold on, I want to hear
same
what he say, Taj. Don't cut him. Go ahead,
That the
finish.
United States is a corporation, and that Trump is running the business. And say, oh, it's not a business. America's not a business. So I'm like, joke low key, it totally is. It's totally a business.
He said it though.
You know?
He
It's
said
not
it.
a secret.
He said if you go up to Corpus Juris Secundum, Title 26, Section 7701, it will tell you that the United States is a corporation.
But it's not a secret.
It's not a secret. But you don't have these people here telling you that. That come on these mics, and that's why I get irritated. Even when I was here, I was getting irritated. I'm like, y'all supposed to be telling the people the truth.
Stay in.
So why are you not telling people?
Now, let's back up.
It is
He mentioned
frustrating.
13th Amendment earlier. 13th Amendment, original article of Amendment 13, nobility clause. Why is it by fatwa, Muslim law, that a member of the Bar Association could not hold office in the United States? Because they are deputy knights for the popes of Rome. Their missionary work is to undermine and overthrow the republic, which is why they ran from you. Now, any scholar knows that. And what they say in between is irrelevant. I mean, once you understand what people's real missions are, all the other stuff is soft talk. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? You know, ask the average person, ask a scholar, constitutional scholar, why do they suppress the original Article of Amendment 13 from the American Constitution, which is called the Nobility Clause? Because members of the bar, by fatwa, Muslim law, could not hold office in the United States. Why? Because they are active deputy knights for the popes of Rome under unum sanctum policy. And what do? What is their missionary work in accord with that? To overthrow all republics. Now that's fact. That's why they couldn't hold no office. How many people, most of your politicians operating at North America are lawyers, or are they not?
Attorneys. What you looking for?
I looked up 13th Amendment and now I'm looking up peonage. Which is the quoted word in the definition for 13th Amendment.
But they never would like to address issues, man, when I was here.
No, they won't, because you wouldn't let them get off that testimonial type talk.
Never. And they was in
See, they know that these people can't read and deal with black emotions. See, so you can talk on black emotions all day long. When you're talking law, it's cut and dry because it is what it is. Truth don't change or pass away. You know, in other words, maxims of law, and I want you to study this too. Deal with maxims of equity. And them guys will never talk on that level. But see, they can talk this so-called law stuff with people who they know can't read when they're amongst believers. See, amongst believers, you say a few things that sound a little bit esoteric, and they get starry-eyed, give you their lunch money and everything. But another scholar comes in and can see that they're full of shit. This is why they would duck. I used to laugh, because I already knew why they was ducking you.
Yeah, they would. I'm telling you, they would.
And everybody said, "Oh, he's a lawyer. Oh, they're impressed."
Yo, it'd be so funny, dude. There used to be some jokes going in here, man. In this studio here,
yeah.
But it's
no different than. Let's put it this way: only a matter of minutes, less than 5 minutes. We're not talking about the conversation that we've been having. Sabir walked in here with his law dictionary, and that's a pocket one.
That's a pocket.
That's just a pocket one, and handed it to E. And handed it to E behind that board, dealing with black radio. And in less than 2 minutes, gave you an education that scholars already know, the same ones that are sitting around here talking to you about so-called black stuff and colored.
Yep.
Know this, but know that 9 times out of 10, most of you are not available to this information because you don't deal with this kind of information, so they can tell you anything they want to tell you. And you'd be all impressed.
Yep.
These people are COINTELPRO operators.
That's why I asked you. You never seen Mike pull out a law dictionary.
They ain't going to.
Michael Core never pulled out a law dictionary. Tariq,
I
watch all of them.
Not going to.
Tell you where they read it from. Where is that? Bro, I can pull out the Constitution in my bag, and if you read it,
yes,
you really be like, damn, like the Constitution.
So they know.
Yes, you have to
oh,
know.
come
this.
on.
You have, if you're an attorney,
Stop.
you have to know
But
this.
stop what?
When I say stop, because the statement is naive. What our conversation with you is straight paper.
Right.
Straight.
It's like, all right, when Sabir came got me, right? Again, I was working on a house. It's like, if I'm a contractor and you're a contractor, it's no what I'm saying. It's like, he really knows what a saw is? He really knows what a hammer is? Well, he's a contractor. Stop!
They like saying he don't know what a law book is. You see what I'm saying? Like, you don't know. And I have.
You deal with law, don't know, ain't got a law dictionary? Please. No, they don't want you to see it because you'll start catching them in lies.
It's kind of like when you see, I can't think of what is an example of someone with the truth, like they do in different movies and different stuff like that. When people, like a preacher or something like that in the movie, and people find a book or something, and they go, "Did you know about this the whole time?" And it's like,
you know what a movies that's telling you this type of paradigm, that's really explaining this kind of paradigm and what is called Privy Council paradigm, is the movie that Denzel Washington did called the Book of Eli.
yeah,
He's what I'm telling you, the nature of it is really what they're telling you, is that the masses are under control and they themselves protect the control instruments.
And then assault those that hold the truth.
Yes.
Eli. Because if they spread the truth, then everyone will know.
They lose control.
Because you can't, like,
The-
if two
in
people
other
have
words,
power,
this is
you
what
can't
this
take
what the
power,
book
like,
is really
you
saying.
can't
This is
control
what the movie's really saying. The masses get dogma. The rulers have religion. The masses think they get religion. No different than you see. What do you see in traditions like when you, and it's on whether positive or negative. Like say if I'm say a scholar, and we're in here, and I'm talking to Sabir, and we're all in this conversation, but I want to talk to him without getting y'all noted, because I recognize there's certain assumptions in this room, and I want him to know that I'm not amongst the dead, right? So I'll do something as simple as this, and this will be done even in what you would call, say, other orders, or something like this, and we're still talking. Even has a ring to it, and it brings an attention without bringing attention. So I'm doing. It's called pulling a coin, right? So I pull a coin. That's a signal to him. He may be a Mason or Skull and Bones, someone. Now, I don't get the nigger treatment. Y'all get it. I'm signifying
That's
I'm
what's
a made
going on.
man.
Yup.
You understand? Without talking, y'all miss it. Y'all dealing with beliefs. The rest of the civilized world deals with facts and science. The masses get beliefs. The masses don't have religion. They get dogma. The masses don't have money. They get fiat. They get fiat. The masses don't get jurisprudence. They get color of law under a color of authority. And they're proud of it. Because they're people of color. You don't even know they're out to damn lunch.
You just read the color of law. It's right. This is why.
Recolored.
If you ask any of those dudes about a law dictionary, see how many of them would say, yeah. I bet you they're going to say yes. I bet. But they would never tell you. They're going to say, what you know about it. What you know about that? You going to law school? This is exactly what they would say to you. You go to law school? No. Carter G. Woodson. You ever read The Miseducation of the Negro? You got to read his book. He said the Negro must be like the Englishman who studies the law, not because he wants to go into that profession, but he must know the interpretations of the court and the laws of the land. Carter G. Woodson said that in the 1920s. So it ain't about going to law school, it's about you knowing. But the thing, it's like, if we both were on the same playing field, I can't control you now. Like what Taj just said, he gave you the scenario about the construction, about being a carpenter. You can't get over on him if he's a carpenter. But if you don't know about carpentry, what happened, he can. It's the same thing with the law. So now we're on the same playing field. So now you can't get over on me. So that's why Tariq, Michael Core, all of them would get mad at me. And they know that I used to see them.
They know that they can't BS him.
I used to see them, and I used to pat them on their back and say, hey man, what you sitting with the DA for? I used to say that to them right downtown. What you sitting with the DA for?
Part of the game. That's why they're sitting with the DA.
And I'm telling you, the pressure that was on me to leave here, they never wanted me to say I was like, they wanted to say, okay, Sabir, leave. They pressured me. They did so many things to make me say,
Yeah, kept trying to.
yo, I gotta go. So after 9 years, I was like, man, I'm out of here, dude. I ain't got time for this. Because we would literally pay for our show like every week, man. And it was like, doing it, it was hurting, you know. And people, here. Oh, here, this is the only station I ever really, I paid for like 3 years. But the thing is here, like I was telling Dave, the sponsorship is the key. If you can get a good sponsor, when Dave said, oh yeah, when you get a sponsor, you under their whim. But you can get independent sponsors to do what you need to get done. You know, so that's why I stepped away to really understand the business and understand how things work and how you get people to sponsor you. Like sneakers. You have sneakers companies that sponsor these sneakers. You ever hear them say they taking their sponsors from them? That's what they're doing. They have sponsors who back them.
Damn, yeah.
It's the same thing with radio, dude. Radio only got started to sell radios. It was advertisement.
So the key for a show is not necessarily for them to get funding from or backing from the station that they're at, but to sponsor their
Outside,
show.
it's in the shadows.
Okay, Wendy Williams I think she get over $100,000 for her shows. What happens, like I said, it's not about what you're talking about. It's how many people you can get listening to you or watching you. So really, the radios, because you're the talent for real, the radio station's supposed to go get the advertisement and sponsorship. You see what I'm saying? But they don't have the content here, or they scared. It's no way that this station, since I left, should be still struggling, dude.
I ask myself like that
every day.
They don't have content.
They don't have the content.
It's like
Sabir, Reggie Bryan.
Oh gosh.
Was about and the brother did astrology. That's about the quality of it. It
show
stopped
was
right
popping
there.
Back then, dude.
It stopped right there.
It stopped after we left because everything is based on content. Like when I was at Universal, the guy said it's based on content, dude. That's why I tell Dave, I can come on here, dude. We can have fun. It's based on content. So they say, okay, well he got the number. He's getting people to watch. So now what people are going to start doing? Donating, sponsoring. People don't understand that's how this thing works, man. Michael Kors, Tarik, all them dudes, you know how much they get for being an attorney? Like $5,000 to $10,000 to $20,000 to beat certain cases, dude. Homicide cases is damn near $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, right? In down payments they have to pay these dudes like $5,000 to $10,000. You mean to tell me that you can't take $5,000 or $10,000 and give it to the station and say, yo, let's make it happen?
They ain't gonna do that.
This is what they do. But yet we were giving people real information, but the people wasn't sponsoring it.
Remedy.
They weren't sponsoring the show. They just like, okay, he got on here, it sound good, it was cool, okay, let's keep it moving. Instead of saying, yo, this is how radio goes. Everything is based on sponsorship and advertising.
Yeah.
Everything.
As a matter of fact, that was one of the things that you talked about before. Edutainment.
Edutainment.
And that was one of his methods. Because it's almost like it is a known fact.
Oh, my man on here, hold on, listen to this, Taj. My man said, I train law officers, and they said honestly to say that every room has a Black's Law dictionary in it. There's 2 in every library. So he's saying he cleans the room. So you think Tarik and them don't know? They know. They have knowledge.
Of course they know. But the deal with, see, this is what happened. This is what I recognize with a lot of these guys. When they have people who think, who are in the believer degree or in the black degree, they have what you call a locked-in, you know how they say a locked-in audience?
Mm-hmm.
It's another term they use for it. It escapes me at the moment. But they almost know all they got to do is feed them some kind of black talk, and they got them locked down.
They got them.
That's what they want to hear. They don't even know. They ain't never read the black codes either.
Never read the black codes. Never read the Dred Scott case.
Yeah.
The Dred Scott case is so heavy, bruh.
It is the most important slave case ever to come before the Supreme Court of the United States. How come none of them do any dissertation on the Dred Scott case?
They should have did a dissertation on the radio show.
Because they would recognize that status is an issue.
Matter of fact,
anyway,
I'm gonna get you take my email down, give me your email, cause I'm gonna email you the whole Dred Scott case. Just write it down. I'm sending it to you the whole Dred Scott case.
It's funny how the whole time I'm kind of obsessed with trying to study the 13th Amendment and find plot holes in it. How many sections to the 13th Amendment?
20. 20. How many is exposed to the dead in school? 2.
Yeah, right. 2 or 3 lines of the
No, 2. 2.
Well, I don't say overall, but they tell you a couple.
No, I'm telling you direct.
Okay.
I'm telling you direct. Remember when you deal with scholarship, you don't deal with estimates or synonymous. You deal with what it is. 2 and 2, 4. Spanish, same thing. In Chinese, it's still before. It's not approximate. There's no approximate. It's what it is, and you're supposed to know.
And no comparisons either.
Right. There's no versions. If you get the point.
Right.
Now, when you're
Like,
dealing with
it's what it
people
is.
who don't know these rules, they always talk about what their version is. School of thought type thing. Not knowing that that's social engineering. But a scholar recognizes it immediately as social engineering. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, logically, someone who's generating an income, as they like to call it, off of such people, are not going to wake them up to the game. You know, so again, people talking law and never pull out a law book, and particularly any fourth edition down amongst so-called people of color. They don't even know that is pejorative. But the reason, like I'm saying to you, just like that, we were talking. He came in to talk to you momentarily, and see how quickly you could take and educate someone who's sitting around talking about people of color proudly and think that they know what they're talking about, and not knowing that they're actually telling the rest of the world they're a fraud. But yet they do it like they just did some spiritual blackness or deepness, and like people are impressed. And in the background they're laughing. These people are the damn ones. And then once in a while, sometimes when our people are talking to people and they're walking away, sometimes they get the feeling when they're walking with other people that the conversation changes and that they're talking about them. And they usually are. Because they're placating them while they're talking to them. What I want you to recognize when he showed you that book is recognize Westworld already knows this. And what I'm appealing to you, wake up. And stop being naive and stop justifying naivety. Because while you may not think the rest of the world already knows, they already do. So when our people run around talking about they're black and colored and all this stuff, and just because people are going along with them, they think that people are really agreeing with you. They're trained to placate these people because they'll make you wealthy. Meaning that they'll go along with a conversation that in their heart they don't believe that shit. They do it to go along with the animals in the zoo. And then the animals in the zoo all proud and think they got a show. No, they're caged. They're zoned. The cage is a zone. It's an abstract.
What's funny is how we would, how black people would make fun of people in the street that are walking around telling the truth. You know, when people walk around like holding like a book, I know this, and they're like, oh, look at that fool. But in reality, from what you're saying, is that we're looking at fools who are the real world looking us as fools.
Exactly. And while we're in our so-called blackness, got nothing to show for it. Which indicates arrogance too. So we give sometimes others justification not feeling sorry for us because we're arrogant. You know, we weren't so damn arrogant with our ignorance. Some people would pull us our coattail to the side and tell us about international trade and international law protections. But they already know as soon as they start talking like that, we'll start talking about, I don't think, Jesus-ness and all that kind of stuff. So they don't go there.
And here I thought I'd be trying to put two and two together with just my obsessive compulsive disorder.
Yeah.
Weird.
And the interesting thing is that we collectively don't know that we're out to lunch. It's like really interesting.